Welcome to Faith, Fiction, and Folklore, or as we like to call it, the Tri-F Podcast, where we try not to mess the podcast up. And how are you today, Cody?
Oh, I'm doing all right, buddy. How are you?
I'm pretty good. I'm looking here at our Rumble, and it ain't screwing up. So,
Yeah,
I'm happy about that. Okay.
that's good.
I think we're good here. All right, great. So, we've got kind of a wild show tonight. More happened than I knew what to talk about. So, I had more stuff I was wanting to do on the whole charismatic corruption thing. So, at first, I was wanting to talk about Todd White, and then Kirk Cameron came out with a video. And then finally, Bethel actually responded to Mike Winger's accusations about Sean Bowles.
Okay.
So we'll talk about that tonight. But first, we've got our Bible reading, which I believe is Genesis chapter 13. And then we have, I'm going to read another chapter of the Familiar since the book is coming out on Tuesday. Super excited for that.
Why not?
So, yeah. I hope it makes a little money. We'll see. But anyway. So we got that. And then we've got a special thing that I have to be very careful lest the algorithm punish us prematurely. But I've got a very special thing. Starts with Bill and ends with 8s. And the Epstein tiles. So I'm ready for that. So with all of that being said, let me pull up the Bible Gateway here and get us on the share screen. And yeah, let me actually, before I start reading, let me actually check our stats here on Google. Make sure the Google stream is up. Because I checked Rumble, but I didn't check Google. So, yep, it says we're up. So, okay, great. With that being said, do you want me to read or shall I? Or do you want to read or shall I read?
Oh, I'm good with whatever, buddy. I got it pulled up here.
All right, sweet. Okay, let me just start, and then you can tell me when you've got a thought, and I'll just stop. So, all right. And Abram went up out of Egypt, he and his wife, and all that he had, and Lot with him into the south. And Abram was very rich in cattle, and silver, and in gold. And he went on his journeys from the south even to Bethel. That's interesting. Unto the place where his tent... unto the place where his tent had been at the beginning between Bethel and Hai. Unto the place of the altar which he had make there at the first, and there Abram called on the name of the Lord. And Lot also, which went with Abraham, had flocks and herds and tents, and the land was not able to bear them, that they might dwell together, for their substance was great, so that they could not dwell together. And there was a strife between the herdmen of Abram's cattle, and between the herdmen of Lot's cattle. I got turned around there.
This town ain't big enough for the two of us, you hear?
Right, pretty much. And the Canaanite and the Perizzite dwelled then in the land. And Abram said unto Lot, Let there be no strife.
What's a parasite?
A Perizzite? I don't know. I'm assuming it's a people group that no longer exists.
I wonder if they suck.
Yeah, right. Deserve a medal for that. Okay.
Sorry.
All right, where were we at? I lost my place.
And Abram said unto Lot, Let there be no strife between me and thee, and between my herdmen and thy herdmen. For we be brethren. Is not the whole land before thee? Separate thyself, I pray thee, from me. If thou wilt take the left hand, then I will go to the right. Or if thou depart to the right hand, then I will go to the left. And Lot lifted up his eyes, and beheld all the plain of Jordan, that it was well watered everywhere, before the Lord destroyed Sodom and Gomorrah, even as the garden of the Lord, the land of Egypt, as thou comest unto Zoar. Zoar? Is it Zoar? Gabby?
Zoar. You're right. Zoar.
Cool. Go for it.
All right. Then Lot chose him all the plain of Jordan, and Lot journeyed east, and they separated themselves from separated themselves the one from the other. Abram dwelled in the land of Canaan, and Lot dwelled in the cities of the plain, and pitched his tent toward Sodom. But the men of Sodom were wicked and sinners before the Lord exceedingly. And the Lord said unto Abram, after that Lot was separated from him, Lift up now thine eyes, and look from the place where thou art northward, and southward, and eastward, and westward. For all the land which thou seest, to thee will I give it, and to thy seed forever. And I will make thy seed as the dust of the earth, so that if a man can number the dust of the earth, then shall thy seed also be numbered. Arise, walk through the land in the length of it, and in the breadth of it, for I will give it unto thee. Then Abram removed his tent, and came and dwelt in the plain of Mamre, I don't know, which is in Hebron, and built there an altar unto the Lord. So, after Lot takes all the nice land, I suppose God comforted him by saying, I'm going to give you everything. So, it seems to be the idea. So, there is that. We are moving on to Genesis 14. Do we have any thoughts on 13?
I don't think so. Are Abram and Lot brothers?
They're relatives. I think Lot was his nephew. We think we saw that in 12. Hang on a minute. So yeah, 12 is when he's first called. And
is this the same Lot that banged his daughters?
yes. Yes, that is correct. So
That guy's crazy, man.
they got him good and drunk.
I guess so.
Dadgummit, I can't see it. I'm like 90% sure he's like the nephew, but I can't see it off the top of my head.
Oh, sorry, I didn't mean to distract you like that, man.
No, you're good. You're good.
No, you're good to start on 14. I don't have my glasses, so I'm reading kind of slow.
Well, that's the good news is we got Google. I'll just Google it instead of trying to strain my eyes because I'm probably going to have to read the whole chapter to find it. So let's just jump to Google really quick. Was Lot Abraham's nephew? Yes.
Hey,
okay.
Nephew.
All right, AI. We'll trust you for expediency's sake. So yes, Lot was Abraham's nephew. Okay. Chapter 14. And it came to pass in the days of Amraphel, king of Shinar, Arioch, king of Elasar, and Chedorlaomer, king of Elam, and Tidal, king of nations, that these made war with Bera, king of Sodom, and with Beersha, king of Gomorrah, Shinab, king of Admah, and Shemimber, king of Zeboim, and the king of Bela, which is Zoar. All these were joined together in the vale of Siddim, which is the salt sea. 12 years they served Chedorlaomer, blah. And in the 13th year they rebelled, and in the 14th year came Chedorlaomer and the kings that were with him, and smote Rephaims in Ashtaroth, Carnium, and the Zuzims of Ham, and the Imins of Shaveh, Kirathaim, and the Horites in the Mount Seir, and Elpharan, which is by the wilderness. And they returned and came to En Misfat, which is Kadesh, and smote all the country of the Amalekites, and also the Amorites that dwelt in Hazezon Tamar. And there went out the king of Sodom, and the king of Gomorrah, and the king of Admah, and the king of Zeboim, and the king of Bela, the same is Zoar, and they joined battle with them in the vale of Siddim. and Chedorlaomer, the king of Elam, and the title kings of nations, and Amraphel, king of Shinar, and Arioch, king of Elasar, 4 kings with 5. And the vale of Siddim was full of slime pits, and the kings of Sodom and Gomorrah fled, and fell there, and they that remained fled to the mountains. And they took all the goods of Sodom and Gomorrah, and all their victuals, and went their way. And they took Lot, Abram's brother's son, who dwelt in Sodom, and his goods, and departed. And there came one that had escaped, and told Abram the Hebrew, for he dwelt in the plain of Mamre, and of Mamre.
They stole Lot?
Yeah, they stole.
Kidnapped Lot?
Yeah, they kidnapped Lot. So he was part of the spoils of war. He was in the battle. So he was dwelt in the plain of.
And these were all the perverts.
No, Sodom. It was Lot was fighting for Sodom and Gomorrah. And then Sodom and Gomorrah lost, and the other kings kidnapped Lot.
So Lot was a pervert.
No, he was like the only one that wasn't. That's like the whole So anyway, so he was with Sodom and Gomorrah. He got kidnapped when they lost the battle. And where am I at? I was trying to figure out that M word. Mamre, the Amorite brother of Eshcol, and brother of Aner, and these were confederates with Abram. And when Abram heard that his brother was taken captive, he armed his trained servants, born in his own house, 318 years, and pursued them unto Dan. And he divided himself against them, he and his servants by night, and smote them, and pursued them unto Hobah, which is on the left hand of Damascus. And he brought back all the goods, and also brought again his brother Lot, and his goods, and the women also, and the people. And the king of Sodom went out to meet him after his return from the slaughter of Chedorlaomer, and the kings that were with him at the valley of Shaveh, which is the king's dale. And Melchizedek, king of Salem, brought forth bread and wine, and he was the priest of the Most High God. And he blessed him and said, Blessed be Abram of the Most High God, possessor of heaven and earth. And blessed be the Most High God, which hath delivered thine enemies into thy hand. And he gave him titles of all. And the king of Sodom said unto Abram, Give me the persons, and take the goods to thyself. And Abram said to the king of Sodom, I have lifted up mine hand unto the Lord, the Most High God, the possessor of heaven and earth, that I will not take from a thread, even a shoe latchet, and that I will not take anything that is thine, lest thou shouldest say, I have made Abram rich. Save only that which the young men have eaten, and the portion of the men which went with me, Aner, Eshcol, and Mamre, let them take their portion. And that's 14. So that is your introduction to Melchizedek. Very brief. Melchizedek, king of Salem, which I guess Salem also means peace. And he was a priest of the Most High God, which is interesting. And he blesses Abram. And after this interaction, the next chapter is quite important. We're 14 minutes in. So you got any thoughts, questions? That was a tongue twister, man. I didn't remember all those names.
Melchizedek is the one in charge of how things work in heaven right now, right?
It's debatable. Like, there's like ideas that Melchizedek was like an actual person that Abram met. Some people think he's like a manifestation of Christ. What you're referring to is when in Hebrews Christ is referred to as the priest after the order of Melchizedek, forever offering sacrifices, like a final sacrifice through his death on the cross. So the idea being, the reason that Melchizedek is used is because it's connecting to chapter 15. So because there's like an official covenant, because God has already alluded to this stuff like twice already. Like, I'm going to give you the land, go to the land I will show you, and your children will live here, So he's already alluded to it a couple times, but the chosen people covenant is actually in the next chapter here.
So, do you think Melchizedek is?
That makes sense. So Melchizedek could be the bloodline of David before it was established.
I don't know who he is, to tell you the truth. To my way of thinking, Melchizedek, or Paul, assuming he wrote Hebrews, is just using Melchizedek as kind of like a way to link what kind of covenant Christ's covenant is. Does that make sense? Because Melchizedek is like this religious figure that blesses Abraham, and then the covenant happens immediately in the next chapter. So, because the whole context of Hebrews is Christ's covenant versus the Levitical covenant. And so what Paul is essentially saying is Christ's covenant is more like the Abrahamic covenant, and therefore it is superior to the Levitical covenant. So I think he's just using the name to link the concepts, but I don't know. You know. So bet. But hey, it could have been Melchizedek could have been a manifestation of Christ. Who am I to say? I don't know. So anyway, you ready to move on, or any other thoughts? Okay.
15.
15. All right. After these things, the word of the Lord came unto Abram in a vision, saying, Fear not, Abram, I am thy shield and thy exceeding great reward. And Abram said, Lord God, what wilt thou give me, seeing I go childless, and the steward of my house is this Eliezer of Damascus. And Abram said, Eliezer, thank you. Yes, Eliezer of Damascus. And Abram said, Behold, to me thou hast given no seed, and lo, one born in my house is mine heir. And behold, the word of the Lord came unto him, saying, This shall not be thine heir, but he that shall come forth out of thine own bowels shall be thine heir. And he brought him forth abroad, and said, Look now toward heaven, and tell the stars, if thou be able to number them. And he said unto him, So shall thy seed be. And he believed in the Lord, and he counted it to him for righteousness. And he said unto him, I am the Lord that brought thee out of Ur of the Chaldees to give thee this land to inherit it. And he said, Lord God, whereby shall I know that I shall inherit it? And he said unto him, Take me a heifer of 3 years old, and a she-goat of 3 years old, and a ram of 3 years old, and a turtle dove, and a young pigeon. And he took unto him all these, and divided them in the midst, and laid each piece one against another, but the birds divided he not. And when the fowls came down upon the carcasses, Abram drove them away. And when the sun was going up, a deep sleep fell upon Abram, and lo, a horror of great darkness fell upon him.
Hey,
Mm-hmm.
I was just imagining this, like playing this out. He was cutting animals in half and laying them out on a platter.
Yeah. Well, this is actually, according to scholars, I guess, this was a type of it's like a government, it's not, how do I explain this? It's an agreement. It was a way that they used to make contracts. So they would cut the animals in half. Then the person and the two people that were making the deal would walk through the middle of the carcasses together. And then they go, if I break my oath, may I be like one of these carcasses. So this was supposedly a tradition that they did. And the significance of this as we go on is Abram falls asleep and God walks through the carcasses himself saying, I'm going to keep the deal. This is my covenant with you, and it's my responsibility to keep it, is the way I was taught this is supposed to work. So,
right. Well, to me, it looks like a pagan ritual.
Well, it's only pagan if you're worshiping the wrong god. So,
I mean, there's blood everywhere.
Well, yes, an animal sacrifice is bloody.
It's pretty weird, bro. Just saying.
Well, there's a concept where it's like, This is the way I look at it. You're talking about people that come out of like human sacrifice and really messed up stuff from back in the day. And God is essentially revealing himself to people who are very primitive and pagan by taking some of the horrible stuff that they did and associating it with concepts he's wanting to teach them.
Oh, okay. I like that.
Yeah, so I think that, yeah, I don't remember who taught that to me, but that's kind of the way I look at it. So
That was well said.
thank you, sir. So where was I at?
You know,
He drove them away. I'm looking. Okay, here we go. So we're on verse 13. And he said unto Abram, know of a surety that thy seed shall be a stranger in a land that is not theirs, and shall serve them, and they shall afflict them 400 years. And also that nation whom they shall serve will I judge, and afterward shall they come out with great substance. And thou shalt go to thy fathers in peace. Thou shalt be buried in a good old age. But in the 4th generation they shall come hither again, for the iniquity of the Amorites is not yet full. And it came to pass that when the sun went down and it was dark, behold, a smoking furnace and a burning lamp that passed between those pieces. In the same day the Lord made a covenant with Abraham, saying, unto thy seed have I given this land, from the river of Egypt unto the great river, the river Euphrates. The Kenites and the Kenizzites and the Kadamites and the Hittites and the Perizzites and the Rephaims and the Amorites and the Canaanites and the Girgashites and the Jebusites. So he makes the covenant at the end of the chapter, and that is the unconditional covenant. Yeah. So there you go.
Nito
torpedo. All right. We're moving on to chapter 16. Shall we continue? Or you have any final thoughts on that chapter?
No, I just no, nothing's been different in this book so far.
Oh, sweet.
This is a 1912 book. Big old Bible.
You should show everybody, yeah, big old Bible right there. That's encouraging, because I'm always like, yeah, that's so cool.
Yeah, every word's been the same.
Sweet. I'm always scared they're like going to change stuff, so that's nice.
Yeah, I've found several that they're very different, like wildly.
Yeah, doesn't surprise me. Like just different translations, or they all say like King James, but they're different like King James.
Some of the Gospels they kind of like, I don't know. They make it sound. They put different inflections on it and make it sound like it's something it's not.
I think I know what you mean. Can you give me an example just in case? No. Okay. But I think I know what you're saying. Like they change words around to kind of like de-emphasize things.
Yeah, it's like how a translator or a transcriber will say, this is what this set of words means because of this.
Ah, gotcha.
Right, and they like say it like that, and it's like, well, it could mean this because of this.
Mm-hmm.
They're like, no. And it's like, it's kind of like how if you read like what's a terrible translation, like a New Living translation or something like that.
Yeah, I've heard that one's bad. I've heard.
So it's like they tell you what it means, but it's like it doesn't mean that.
Yeah, like they paraphrase it, but it's not a good way of saying it. Yeah, I gotcha.
Yeah. So there is a lot of that in a lot of Bibles, but
yeah.
As far as King James, it's been pretty consistent.
Well, that's good. I want to give oh gosh, I don't know if I can find it, but you've got me on a train of thought. Okay, so Jeremiah Cook says, like how the NIV deliberately downplays the term tradition. Yeah, like that. Like that,
Okay.
Jeremiah.
Yeah.
So, hang on a minute. Now I'm all stuck on this train of thought. Greg was showing me one that I don't know if I can find it quickly, though. But just to kind of tee it up, it's the Last Supper, and it's the remark about the sword. And one translation makes it sound like Christ is being a pacifist when that's not what he's saying in the King James, if I remember correctly.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
So I'm trying to remember the chapter. What chapter is the Last Supper?
I feel like a lot of Christ's words are easy to do that with, because I feel like he's being snarky in a lot of what he's saying.
Oh, I know. He's very witty, and I don't think that's ever appreciated. So,
Right. Yeah.
Oh man. Okay, I know I'm close. So if you'll bear with me here, I'm sorry, guys, but I really want to find this to kind of show what I'm talking about. This generation passed away, so okay, which is the Passover. Well, that went too far. Drew nigh. Now the feast of drew nigh, which is called very. I hope I'm not wrong by saying it's Luke. I'm almost certain it's Luke.
Luke is, yeah, I mean, it wouldn't surprise me if it was in Luke.
Yeah,
I've heard a lot of that kind of stuff about Luke.
Yeah, because it's a little more detailed. Okay.
That's why I like Mark, man. I listen to Mark like on audio like once a month. It's like,
Oh yeah.
yeah, it's like my gravy, man. Because it's just like it's. I feel like it's like the most raw gospel.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I don't know.
It's interesting. I know a lot of people have a hard time with it. All right, I'm getting there. Hang on. Here we go. And they say, "Lord, behold, here are two swords." And he said unto them, "It is enough." And he came out and went. Yeah. Okay. So it's 20:38. It's Luke 22:38 is the one I was thinking of. So in the King, I've got this in the King James. Oh, I remember what they did. Oh, yeah. Hang on. Guys, I'm really sorry, but this is just super important to what I'm talking about here. So I want to make sure I get this right. I don't want to sound like I'm just bloviating. So it's Luke 22:38. Oh, come on. Well, I need two different versions. I've got the King James and then the NIV, so I'm trying to compare the two translations. Yeah. Oh, this made me mad when I caught it, because it's the way that they change stuff. It's just like these subtle changes in wordings that create vastly different impressions. Come on, where's it at? NIV, give me the NIV. NIV. Here we go. NIV. Yeah, this is what I'm talking about. Okay, so let me read this. This is exactly why these modern these modern translations suck. This is a perfect example of why modern translations suck. So, okay. Let me just start up here at 33. And he said unto them, Lord, I am ready to go with thee, both into prison and to death. And he said, I tell thee, Peter, the cock shall not crow this day before thou shalt thrice deny that thou knowest me. And he said unto them, when I sent you without purse and script and shoes, lacked ye anything? And they said nothing. Then he said unto them, but now he that hath a purse, let him take it, and let likewise his scrip, and he that hath no sword, let him sell his garment and buy one. And for I say unto you that this that is written must yet be accomplished in me. And he was reckoned among the transgressors, for the things concerning me have an end. And they said, Lord, behold, here are 2 swords. And he said unto them, it is enough. Now, what does that sound like? We've got 2 swords. Okay, we're ready, right? Mm-hmm. That's what that sounds like. This is what the NIV does. So when you get to 38, we'll just read the passage. The disciples said, see, Lord, here are 2 swords. And they go, that's enough! Exclamation point, he replied. Like he's rebuking them for the swords.
Yeah.
Isn't that not the sleaziest crap you ever saw?
That's crazy.
Oh my gosh, these people.
Yeah, they're trying to make him look like a woman.
Yeah, exactly. That's exactly what they did. It's like, are you kidding me? Yeah, this is why modern translations suck. So, anyway.
Wow.
Is that not insane? Crazy. Yeah, that's just, ugh. My blood pressure going up just recalling that. So, all right. Well, I'm sorry for that diatribe, guys. Next week, we will kick up on chapter 16. So, with all that being said, we are going to move on to the next portion of this. If you're watching this after the fact, thank you so much for watching. If you're on the live stream, stay with us. And for those of you that are watching this later, we'll see you next time on the part 2.
Later.
All right. What should we do for part 2? Because I have Bethel, and then I have the book. So do you want to do the chapter from the familiar first, or do you want to do Bethel first?
Bethel.
Bethel? All righty then. Okay, so do you want to lead us in?
Welcome to Faith Fiction Folklore, or the Try-F podcast, where we try not to F the podcast up. Today we are talking about Dan Fairley.
Oh, Bethel. Dan Fairley is one of the preachers.
Yeah, I don't know what we're talking about. Gary, take it away.
Okay. So, yes, Mike Winger has been going after Sean Bowles for the last week, and then after he made the video that we spent like 7 episodes looking over, after he made that video, Bethel responded, and the first response was less than desirable. It was basically, man, it's really hard to be a preacher in this age of Facebook. Dad blame mob jumps down your throat all the time. That was the initial reaction by Chris Volaton, and everybody kind of expected more of this generic cover up. We deny it. You can't prove nothing. You'll never take us alive, coppers. That kind of thing. And something unexpected happened. The following week, Bethel actually apologized, and it seems pretty sincere. So that was shocking. And Mike was surprised. I think everybody was surprised. Not that this genuine apology was like universal. I have a video response from Patricia King. I haven't seen it yet, but from what I understand, she was not as, repentant as these guys were. But I wanted to take a look at their sermon apologizing for the Sean Bowles situation. And, I wanted to see if you thought that it was, appropriate or genuine, or if you think they're hamming it up, or just to get your reaction from it. I think it was genuine, but I just wanted to see what your opinion was. So, are you ready,
All right.
You ready, Mr. Cody?
Yeah.
All right.
I'm ready.
Sweet action. Let me transition here.
Over at Twinview, and then now with you and online community. We're glad you're with us too. We're just going to talk about some of our mistakes and failures in a situation about Sean Bowles. And just wanted to let you know about that ahead of time in case this is like a triggering moment for you, or you're like, oh, I'm not ready for this. I didn't come to church for this. Just to kind of give you a heads up. Chris and Bill will be speaking in just a moment. And our heart is to end in a time of prayer and and confession and repentance. And not you guys, you didn't do anything wrong. What we're going to talk about this morning is what we did wrong.
Okay, by the way, I'm going to be stopping this off and on for, transformative purposes, but yeah, I figured it'd just be better to get snippets of it. So
Remind me what Sean Bowles did.
So he is the guy that was making fake prophecies using Facebook, first of all. So, he's prophesying usernames and claiming he got them from the Almighty, or at least that's what he did on one occasion. So, yeah, he was cheating with Facebook, and then he was also running around naked in these hotels when guys didn't want him to. And it was kind of like frat boy culture. And then he was like gratifying himself, let's say, in front of the other men when they didn't want him to. So that would be SA.
That would be...
I think it's illegal.
I would probably punch him in the mouth.
At least, right?
I still don't like Brandon. I dislike Brandon Biggs more so.
You still... I don't know if Brandon Biggs ever went that far.
I don't care.
Okay. Yeah, well, anyway, that's what this guy did, and apparently Bethel knew about it and covered it up. And I had some issues with some of the things Mike Winger said, but on the whole, I think he was right, and Bethel confirms he's right.
Did they expect it? Like, what was he supposed to do? Just like come out and be like, yeah, like.
You talking about Mike? Like, are you talking?
Yeah, like, how would they come out and just say, like, yeah, Sean Bowles has been running around naked in the hallways trying to touch wieners to everybody?
Well, he
have a sermon just saying that. It's like, of course you try to cover it up.
Uh-oh. Need a moment?
Yep.
Oh, you're good? This is live television. I don't know what's happening. Anyway, so yes, Mike was right to make this video, and I didn't know what kind of evidence he had, but it doesn't matter anymore because Bethel just flat out said it was happening. So Bethel confirmed everything and apologized for it. And so I just wanted to talk about, whether we think that Bethel's doing a calculation here or whether they're genuinely sorry. I kind of think they're genuinely sorry, but we'll see. Jeremiah Cook says, how the church begins a service. Blessed is the kingdom of the Father and the Son and the Holy Spirit, now and ever. How Bill Johnson begins. Hey, y'all, we've been scandalized again. This is not an isolated incident. That is true. That is true. This Sean Bowles thing. The thing that I don't get is why in the world, how did this guy not go to jail? Like, I'm not a lawyer, but isn't performing that kind of stuff in front of other people against their will a crime?
I think so.
So how did they not? Why didn't somebody go to the police? That's what I don't understand.
I don't know.
Like, this seems like this should have been a legal matter, but I'm not a lawyer. Anyway, so we'll see what happens here.
So at that moment, we just ask for you to cover us with grace as we seek the Lord's forgiveness in the face of some grievous mistakes. So we plan on ending a little early if we're able to give us time to kind of be together and grieve, to stay here. We don't have another service, starting too quickly afterwards. And so we'll be available to you guys to visit with and talk and just process with as well.
I want to say...
All right, so this is the guy that gave the sermon last week that was very... of course, we didn't say anything. We're not going to humor the mob. That was the general tone last week. So... he has since changed his mind, and this is his service this week.
I've had a heart change in the front. On Monday morning, I had an encounter with the Lord, and I see things quite differently. And I'll talk about the change in my heart since that encounter. To that, so in 2019, it came to our attention through some European leaders that Sean Bowles was using Facebook to get some of his words of knowledge. And we got involved, Danny Silk and I. Bill was out with his wife was passing sick, and we got involved. And we began to do an investigation. As we were doing that, somewhere in the midst of that, it might have even started first, sexual allegations about Sean's ministry, and specifically around his employees, sexual harassment, came to light. And Danny got in the trenches there and began to investigate the sexual allegations, and also and Danny got there was 14 Facebook videos that the Europeans had put together in their own investigation, and they said, "Can you guys do something about this?" So Danny, who was, we were all friends of Sean. Sean was here many times. In 2014, when I had a nervous breakdown, he ministered to me several times through my nervous breakdown. And so he was a friend of the house at the time.
So I'm relatively unfamiliar with like all the nuances of like Bethel's doctrine and stuff, because it's very heavy in the charismatic movement. What I would be curious about is whether or not these guys actually believe the prophecy stuff is true, like whether they're just using it to make money because they know it's a scam most of the time, or whether they actually believe it. And so, because what's interesting is these guys prophesy over each other. You know what I mean? Like, they don't just prophesy to audiences. Like, they'll deliver prophecies to one another. It's almost like they're vindicating each other type of thing. Mm-hmm. So it's like, do they actually believe that stuff? You know what I mean?
Well, they have to. That's why they do that to each other too, because it reinforces their belief.
Yeah. So it seems like, I think it's a good way to put it. They're reinforcing each other. So when one of these guys goes bad, it's like a lot harder for them to accept the dude's a bad actor. You know what I'm saying? So I think there was a lot of emotional attachment to this. Basically, this dude was their friend, and that's part of the reason they covered it up, I think. It's because partially protect their buddy, partially they didn't believe it themselves.
And Danny looked at the videos and flew to LA and showed him the videos, and also showed him the sexual allegations. And he flatly denied it. I didn't do that. I would never do that. I don't know why you think I'd do that. And it just went nowhere. And so Danny, I took on the prophetic side. I said, I'll work on the prophetic thing, and you work on the allegations, the sexual allegations. So Danny did some research, got a hold of some other former employees, and it turned out, I'll spare you all the facts, but it turned out that those allegations were not only true, but it was a culture for a long time. Sorry. And so I flew to LA and confronted him. And it was a 4-hour meeting. The first 2 hours was confronting him as Galatians 1, as a friend who had sinned, and calling him to repentance. And he's flatly denied that he had done anything wrong, that he would never do that. And it really got nowhere. The last 2 hours were a very different meeting, a very passionate meeting. And I was saying to him, if you don't confess your sin, if someone else has to confess your sin, it's going to get ugly. Because if you confess your sin, you're going to get forgiveness, and you're going to get repentance, and you're going to get whole. But if someone else confesses your sin, your whole ministry is going to burn down. And I was like, bro, your ministry is going to burn down if you don't get in here and do the right thing. So he did it. It went on for a long time. We all felt that we should give him some time. We were texting back and forth, and pretty soon it was just like, no messages back. Well, I'm not doing anything. This is not happening. And I just began, so we began to meet. This is like almost a year passed, and part of it is, so part of I think the timeline is that, you know, it was COVID. We were in COVID. Benny was passing. What's that? Aaron Candace left. And one of my very close family members began a divorce. And I was completely exhausted. That's not an excuse, but that was where we were. And so we had a conversation, like, what should we do? And he's not repentant. Okay, well, let's take him off of all of our platforms. So we took him off of all of our platforms. We took all of his books out of our bookstore. We took all of his messages off of our network. And we told a bunch of our close ministry friends that we knew were having him on their platform.
Oh, hey, that was a good time thing. I ain't letting forget you, Ad. So basically, here's the gist of the problem. They distanced themselves, like, in their own little circles. They removed his books. They basically separated themselves from his ministry, but they didn't tell the public, and that's what they're getting criticism for. So what are your thoughts so far, Mr. Cody?
I find all these people to be ridiculous.
These people, say that again.
I find all of these people to be ridiculous.
Okay. Well, we're gonna fast forward ahead a little bit here. I think they should have warned the public. I kind of fall on Mike's side on this. It's like, yeah, you guys tried to sever ties and all this, but you're the ones that made him popular. You should have told people that he was making up prophecies. Of course, I don't know. To me, and Mike Winger, when I was watching his reaction video to this, he made the point that he feels like Bill Johnson, I think's the guy's name, is like willfully blind to all of this. But I kind of feel like all of them have to be, to an extent, because I mean, I'm not saying I don't believe in prophecy, but good night. If somebody's sitting there saying somebody's name and address every service, I'm like, dude, I think you're doing research. You know what I mean? It's like, if you're just constantly shouting out publicly available information, you would think people would get suspicious after a while. And yet they're turning around acting like they're shocked that he was pulling stuff from Facebook. I mean, I watched that, and I can just see myself thinking, if I'd seen it for the first time, I'd be like, no, surely he didn't pull the usernames from Facebook. He can't have that kind of nerve. Surely not. He'd get caught. You know what I mean? Like, it just seems like such an obvious ruse to me. It's kind of hard to imagine somebody not catching on sooner. You know what I mean? So I kind of feel like the willful blindness thing kind of has to be bigger than just with Bill Johnson, you know?
Yeah. I don't know. I feel like they probably handled it the best way they could, and they corrected the problem, moved on.
So they just didn't.
I think apologizing is kind of ridiculous.
Okay, interesting. So you don't think they had like a responsibility to tell everybody that this guy was a pervert and all that? So you think that you think it was enough for them to just kind of cut ties and move on?
I mean, if he did something illegal, it would be the responsibility to report it to the police, I guess.
Yeah, like I wish I was a lawyer. I wish I knew if it was illegal or not. I can't see how it couldn't be, though.
Yeah.
You know,
I mean, he definitely needs to be on a sexual predator list.
Yeah. I mean, the self-gratification stuff, yeah, for sure. You know, yeah, I just don't see how in the world you don't.
I mean, if you're
You
not
don't go
there
to jail
yet,
for that.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like yeah, sooner or later you're gonna step it up. It's like you're testing the waters. You know what I mean, at that phase, to do something worse. So, and didn't Harvey Weinstein first end up going to jail because maybe he wasn't charged for that specifically, but the girl recorded him trying to get her to do stuff, and then he eventually gratified himself into a potted plant. You know, like, is it? I'm pretty sure that's illegal. I thought that was the whole stink with him. So, I don't know. I'm not a lawyer. I shouldn't say. But that's kind of my thing. It's like, I just don't understand why the cops weren't brought in on this. That's the big thing that baffles me.
Yeah.
All right. Anyway, we're going to fast forward here a little bit because I said I would.
For people to get well, for leaders to get well, for victims to get healed without creating a huge mess. Please forgive me. I understand that your trust for me is broken. I know for some of you that'll take time to heal. I'm very sorry. I do give you my word that we'll move to maturity in this. Bill's going to speak now. God bless you. Thank you so much for listening.
It is a great apology. But
Huh?
it's a great apology.
I mean, I did skip too much of it. I did jump later than I wanted to. But he does say some good stuff. I kind of feel like this guy was sincere because he was so angry last week. And there's parts where he's like about to break down in tears. I don't know. I feel like that juxtaposition. It's like he was really, really mad, and then he kind of came back and admitted he was wrong. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So I think the guy in the pink shirt, Chris Volatin, was genuine. Now let's see what you think about the next guy. This is Bill Johnson, I believe.
Thanks.
Yes, that's Bill Johnson.
Chris very nobly takes all the responsibility when it really comes back to me, you know. Both Chris and Danny were much more willing to pursue bringing correction, not just the initial correction, but actually walking through long-term this whole journey. And I was the part of the process that slowed it down. You know, sometimes your strongest trait becomes your weakest trait. And one of the things I do well is I believe in people when they don't deserve it. But it can move into what some have called unsanctified mercy. And that's actually what I did. I became so not impressed with the gift. I don't do gifts over character, but I became so committed to seeing Sean protected and come into a place of health, and that I just was foolish. And how it started is I believed, I didn't believe the allegations were true initially. I think probably all of us wondered, man, this can't be true. We love this guy. We've spent time with him. He spent time here. But over a period of time, it became obvious it was true. But I became blind to it because my loyalty to him as a friend, as somebody who had ministered deeply to me, as Chris mentioned to him, and so many people authentically, that we became blind to the fact, I became blind to the fact that there was a real issue that needed to be addressed. I'm completely blind to it. I mean, I see it now. It's embarrassing to see what was right in front of you all the time. And I were surrounded by such an incredible group of leaders and team, phenomenal discernment. On a number of occasions, I've come to Chris. I'll ask him a question. You know, how do you see this situation? I trust your perspective more than mine. And there are just times where you just trust in other people's gift more than your own. But this was an occasion when I didn't do that and should have, because I easily could have seen through their eyes, through their heart, through their discernment, something that was really, really obvious, as obvious as the nose on your face. And I didn't see it. I missed it. I missed it because, you know, just not wanting to believe something that could be true. And it was. And as a result of my slowing a process down, just affected more and more people, more and more.
So Mike Winger was a little more cynical towards Bill Johnson than he was of Chris Fulton. And I think the reason was, having some time to think about it. First of all, I mean, I think from a PR standpoint, like, this is how you should handle it. It's like, we screwed up. You know what I mean? So I don't know if I share Mike Winger's cynicism. But I think what Mike Winger was upset about was the fact that they're making it sound like it was almost an accident. You know what I mean? Rather than a conscious decision to protect a friend. I don't know if you're getting those vibes from this, or what's your impression of these two people's apologies? Do you think they're trying to spin it like it was an accident? Do you think they're owning their crap? And to me, it sounds like they're owning it and they're just embarrassed, so they're kind of, trying,
Yeah,
timid,
I don't know why you would. Yeah, I don't think they're lying or anything.
Yeah, I'm not getting vibes like they're lying. So it's not like that Israel guy. I fell out of my chair while I was praying in Israel. You're not getting any like weird vibes like that. So,
Right.
All right, we'll go on. Let me skip to one more beat here, because this was a big deal. So we'll come to the end of his speech and watch it through to the end.
So I pray that with the wisdom of the whole group, the scripture says we have the mind of Christ. It doesn't say I have. The emphasis is on the corporate, that together we have the mind of Christ. And so that is our pursuit. That is my commitment, is that together for us to hear from the Lord what to do appropriately in given situations. And I do ask you, the victims of the prophetic, any other sexual tension stuff that could exist, like, please forgive us as a leadership to drop the ball as we have and to increase the pressure and the conflict in your own souls. And I just ask you to forgive me, and I do pray that the Lord would truly, truly bring healing to us as a movement, healing to us as a team, healing to me as an individual. Yeah. Yeah. Please forgive me.
So we're going to pray together in just a few moments, but I wanted to let you know of a couple of things that we've done and are already been in the process of doing. It probably goes without saying, but just to be very clear, at this time, I want to clearly state that the evidence we have seen concerning Sean Bull's prophetic integrity has produced a broken trust with his ministry, and we believe that Sean was not truthful in how he received his words, or not words of knowledge or prophetic words. We also acknowledge our belief that he engaged in sexually explicit and harassing behavior towards some members of his staff. We do not condone his actions, endorse his ministry, and we strongly advise you to take our position into account if you choose to interact with his materials. And moving forward as a team and as a board, we recommit ourselves to responsibility, which was mentioned by both of you guys. Reimagining, re-embracing that. Commit ourselves to truth and accountability. And there has been a lot of that going on in this last week. But ultimately, transformation in Christ, which is our goal for this house, for our own lives, and for you. As Bill mentioned, our senior leadership team is grown to over 25 people, gifted and talented. Our board eldership is going to be more active in a role in leading and speaking. And I think it's sometime you've talked about that role of discipline will be sitting with a different place than you, and is the expectation.
Okay, so that was the part I was wanting to get to. So basically, he is no longer going to be in charge of, Bill Johnson is no longer going to be in charge of disciplining rogue actors, let's say. So in a sense, he's been somewhat demoted. So it's not like they're not doing anything. I thought that was kind of a big deal and worth bringing up and highlighting. So, any thoughts at this point, Mr. Cody?
Nope, I don't think so.
I think they're sincere.
Yeah.
I'm not getting any bullcrap vibes.
So Mike Winger's like, oh, they're lying.
No, he's basically like, I think they're kind of soft pedaling their role in it. That is to say, they're making it sound like it was more accidental than it was, I think, is one of his complaints. And then the other thing is, he's like, this is good.
You think they were complicit with it?
There was a little more, I think, again, I'm reinterpreting what he said, so you'd have to go watch his video, which came out today, to really kind of understand it. But he's still kind of like upset about it, like emotionally. Like, you can tell he's emotionally invested in the situation. But I think what his thing was,
I don't know why Mike gets so upset, man. He just freaks out and he's like, everybody's. I don't know.
I
don't get it.
think he gets moved by people's stories. You know what I mean? Like, he's sitting in the room listening to people's accounts, and that's a lot of what his research is. And I think it's good to have that kind of empathy. I do think it's a little dangerous, though, like with in my opinion, the Michael Brown thing, for example, like that was clearly a board type situation. Like, somebody wanted Michael Brown out, and Brown wasn't leaving, so they dredged up a bunch of crap from like over a decade ago. You know what I mean? I think it's pretty obvious that was what was going on there. But somebody came up to him and they gave an emotional story, and I think he bought it. And I think he's prone to getting like invested in people's stories. Not whether they're true or false. And I'm sure Bethel just confirmed that what these guys were talking about is true. You know what I mean? So I don't think there's any ambiguity on that point anymore. You know? But he's clearly like all in, and I think he was mad because rather than saying we were protecting our friend and we deliberately protected our friend, they're kind of like, we were just kind of emotionally confused. He was our friend, but, you know, the evidence was overwhelming. I think he felt like they were soft pedaling, or at least particularly Bill was soft pedaling. He also thinks that Bill is a little more willing to just turn on the blinders when he doesn't want to believe something. And I think he also thinks that Bill is kind of a chameleon type. Like, if you're in the room telling your story, he's going to believe you. If he's in the room with somebody else denying their story, he's going to believe them. Like, he just kind of takes on the emotional state of agreement in a moment, regardless of, you know, what he actually thinks. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's kind of like acting. It's like, you know, when you're a really good actor.
I think it's feminine.
Yeah, you could say that. Your words. Yeah, but when you're an actor, you start taking on the emotional state of whatever you need to be at a given time. And so it's like, it's not even really lying, because in a certain respect, you do believe it. Like, you are keyed up and upset if you need to be keyed up and upset. And I think it's kind of like that. You get that way in front of people, and it might be a way to like avoid conflict. Rather than arguing and disagreeing with somebody, you just get into agreement with them, and then you kind of emotionally invest in their position as a way to get along. Something like that.
But then you have to white knight for somebody else.
I'm sorry?
But then you have to white knight for them.
Which is what he actually wound up having to do for Sean Bowles. See, the situation that Mike Winger was talking about was during that apology, Bill Johnson talked about a scenario where he was talking with one of the victims, and he believed Sean Bowles was guilty while talking to the victim. But then he was asked to do a TBN interview about 2 months later, something like that. And when he was at that interview, he had to sit beside Sean Bowles and say that Sean Bowles was great and that he trusted Sean Bowles and all of this. And, you know, during the apology, he was like, monumentally stupid. I don't know why I did that. But the idea is, it's like, in the moment, he just kind of gets caught up in this like agreement mode, you know? And so he wound up white knighting for Sean Bowles, which traumatized the victim further because it was kind of like gaslighting. The victim felt that Bill Johnson believed him, and then he's turning around and defending Sean Bowles on TBN,
Yeah.
you know? And so, yeah, so you're right. You end up white knighting for somebody. That's a good way to put it. So, all right. So, bottom line is they seem sincere to me. Mike, his position is basically, this is good if it's step one. And it's, for Bill to like give up the authority to administer discipline, I think is a show of good faith myself. So I was surprised. I mean, this is how you're supposed to deal with a scenario like this. But, you know, me and Trevor were reading the website, you know, a week or so ago, and it was like so corporate. I was just expecting to get more corporate runaround from them, but no, I feel like they dealt with it the right way, which surprised me. So anyway, but I don't think everybody was so repentant. Now, again, I have not watched the next video, but I am under the impression that this girl is a little more combative, and she was part of this team that covered up for Sean Bowles. So we are now moving on. Oh, by the way, if you want to watch this whole thing, it's on Bethel's YouTube channel. It's called the Bethel Church Service. Bill Johnson and Chris Volatin. Worship with Lave and Valenzuela. They don't have it dated, but it's like near the top since it was like last Sunday's service. So Bethel YouTube channel, Bethel Church Service, Bill Johnson, Chris Volatin. Worship with Leah, Valenzuela. Boy, this is the night of confusing names. No offense to Leah. my tongue is getting tired. Anyway, All right, on to Patricia King.
Hi, everyone. Well, I'm on the road again this morning.
Oh,
In fact,
this is about Todd White. I'm an idiot. Hang on a minute. She had a response regarding Sean Bowles. Boy, I'm dumb. When was this? This was 11 days ago. She might have been radio silent. Todd White's another one of those bad actors. We've talked about him before, by the way. It's another one of these guys tied to Bethel. So, I don't know. I think this is a predated one. Yeah, this was during, this was right after Chris' first service. I don't think she said anything since this most recent service. So let's see what she said here.
in response to the many personal texts, emails, messages, and inquiries I have received following Mike Winger's recent video, "The Skeletons in Bethel's Closet Are Now Going to Speak," I feel it is important to offer clarity regarding inferences that have been made about my alleged cover-up of the grievous acts attributed to Sean Bowles. This statement is not written to dishonor Mike Winger or diminish the seriousness of his presentation, nor is it offered in self-defense or to protect the reputation of my ministry. Like so many believers, I am deeply grieved by sin within the body of Christ, especially by the harm done to those who have been victimized by the actions of others. I share this report with sobriety, humility, and prayer. Clarifying my relationship with Sean. I met Sean Bowles approximately 25 years ago. Over the years, we ministered together at various events, shared conversations in green rooms, and I hosted him on occasion as a speaker and media guest. In all of these interactions, I experienced him as kind, humble, respectful, and eager to grow in his understanding of Scripture and the gifts of the Spirit. I was never officially connected to Sean through a ministry board, accountability structure, or oversight role. I had never been to his personal home, nor did we have a close personal relationship. Our connection was primarily that of ministry acquaintance, seeing one another perhaps once or twice a year at shared events. I had no reason at that time to feel concern or suspicion, nor had I observed or heard reports of misconduct. By nature, I am not a suspicious person. I seek to believe the best in others unless given clear reason to do otherwise. When Sean began moving in very specific words of knowledge, I was in awe of what I believed to be the work of God. I watched people encounter the Lord through his ministry, and I rejoiced in what appeared to be genuine fruit. The first concerns. In January 2020, while in a green room with a small group of ministers, I heard for the first time that there were rumors suggesting Sean may have been obtaining information from social media and prophesying from that material. I was genuinely shocked and deeply unsettled. Until that moment, I had never even heard of the concept of, in quotes, mining information for prophetic words. I hoped the rumors were untrue.
Okay, so I should clarify on one point here since it's been clarified elsewhere. She is denying knowing Sean super well. Apparently that's not true because she said in other interviews that they go way, way back. So it's kind of a question where it's like, okay, you lying back then or were you lying now? So she's probably lying now to cover her hind end. So that would be my guess. But do you want to go on? This sounds like it's going to be pretty standard. What do you think?
Yeah, I don't know. I have no interest.
You have no interest? Okay. I am a little interested in what she said about Todd White in light of Bethel coming forward. So let's see what she says here.
Hi, everyone. Well, I'm on the road again this morning. In fact, we're on our way to Mississippi today to another rehab center. And it's so beautiful what God is doing for those that are bound and troubled and hurting and wanting to come into freedom. He is the miracle worker, and he is the one who grants freedom. And if any of you are watching right now and you are in need of freedom, Jesus will free you. He will. He will set you free. He will love you. He will heal you. So yeah, just be encouraged by that. Yesterday we were at New Orleans. It was amazing. Just watching people get touched. In one encounter we had in the restaurant, the Lord gave me a word for someone. It was actually a word of sort of rescue. And I felt to just write it.
Okay, I'm already like suspicious. I'm like, oh, by the way, while I'm about to respond to these horrible, awful accusations, God spoke to me about somebody else. So, just so you know, he ain't mad at me. So it's kind of like, all right, we're going to get this treatment. Okay.
Out on a napkin and give it to her. And she came chasing out after our team afterwards, wanting to talk more about it and to receive some prayer. It was just so cool. We were just being led by the Spirit. It was awesome. I loved it. And so we appreciate your prayer. It's just been so wonderful just getting back to the main and the plain and keeping focus on Jesus and how beautiful he is and how wonderful his love is. But anyways, on our way back from New Orleans last night, I was watching the video that Mike Winger put out on Todd White, and I was implicated in that video. And I know that a lot of you are probably confused and wondering, what's up, and wanting to hear from me. I've heard from a couple people this morning already that they wanted a statement or some kind of disclosure from my side. And I just want to say that right now I am not ready for that. I need to go into prayer. I have a lot to process actually after watching Mike Winger's video, and I want.
That's not encouraging. That's not encouraging at all. For those who don't know, Todd White, he's the guy that was basically saying he did these long-term fasts, but he was drinking protein shakes the whole time. You know what I mean? So it wasn't really a fast. He's still getting his macros in during the fast. So he's that guy. He's kind of been one of these lying prophet types basically. So I should probably pull up a picture of him really quick. I mean, he's up here in the corner, but you can't see that on the screen. So, hang on. Tidwit. So there's Todd White. He's yeah, we've done a show on him before, so I just wanted to clear that up. So what we got? I can neither confirm nor deny. No response. So
To make it clear, I regard Mike Winger. I know that God has used much of what he has shared. I know that we're in a season of exposure. I'm very aware of the season that we're in. I've maybe had some differences on the way things get presented, but I think we all want Jesus to be exalted. And all of you that are watching right now, I know that all of our hearts are the same, as that we don't want sin to prevail or people to get hurt or victims to be produced from harmful situations. So we need to address it. And I want to process a lot of what I heard. It was 4 hours long. A lot of it was repetitive, but I want to really process it well before I make a statement. The other thing is I've got a heavy schedule right now because we're on our Faith, Hope, and Love tour. And I don't have the concentrated time I need to go into prayer and maybe do a bit of fasting into it and really receiving the counsel from the Lord. And I think right now it's
what?
You said I don't have time to pray.
Yeah, I don't have time to. Yeah, I need to. It's a little sus. It's a little sus. I'm not gonna lie. I'm like, come on. Bethel just said, "Yeah, we did it." Like Mike's being a little harsh, maybe, but everybody else is like, okay. They're either like they're faking it for a political maneuver, or they're like, okay. But I don't know what else you're supposed to do in a situation like this. I can tell you what you're not supposed to do. You're not supposed to go up to your fans and be like, boy, I need to fast and pray about this. Hang on, guys. Let me, by fasting and praying, I mean consult my lawyers. So, I mean, come on, don't tell me you're not calling an attorney going, all right, how much trouble am I in? So, anyway, so yeah, that's not good. I wasn't sure we're going in there, but it looks like just, more deny. Anyway, but if you want to watch the rest of this, it's Patricia King. She has a YouTube channel. The video is Response to Mike Winger video on Todd White. And then before we move off of this, I wanted to give a shout out to this video here. I have not finished it. We won't react to it. I don't know if we're going to react to this one or not. It seems a little macabre, so I'm a little hesitant to do it. But anyway, this is one of the victims of Sean Bowles. This is his story, I guess, in more detail. So if you're wanting to get a better idea as to what the nature of the accusations are, the video is I Was a Victim of Sean Bowles, my full story. YouTube channel is Jeremy Buttress. So again, that is I Was a Victim of Sean Bowles, my full story, and the YouTube channel is Jeremy Buttress. So that's all I've got for this one, Cody. You got any thoughts?
Not really.
I don't either. I think Bethel did the smart thing, and they might have just done the right thing. So, as well, whether it's smart or right depends on how sincere they were. But either way, so. Well, that's all we have for part 2. Are we ready to move on to part 3?
Let's do it.
All right. Okay, so we got 2 more parts left. The first one I'm going to read from the book because it's an ad. We're switching gears. We're talking about the fiction book. And I'm going to read a chapter of it because I want you to buy it. I want money. And there's that. And then the last part of it is the... How do I say this without triggering the censors? The Epstein... LIS ist, I don't know, got released in a lot more detail, and I'm glad I didn't put the Still No List overlay back up, because apparently they released a lot of it, and Bill Gates, yeah, he got outed pretty hardcore on this one, so we are going to talk about that and then click around on some of the new documents like we did last time. I'm going to have to do a better job describing them, though, since we actually have a podcast version of this. So there's that as well. But anyway, so, okay, we're going to move on to part 3. If you are watching this on the live stream, stay with us. If you are watching this after the fact, thank you so much for watching, and we will see you next time. All right.
Deuces.
All right, so let me just lead us in. Welcome to Faith, Fiction, and Folklore, or as we like to call it, the Triath Podcast, where we try not to mess the podcast up. And today we are going to read a chapter from the book, The Familiar, which is mine, and is coming out on February 3rd. That is this Tuesday. And let me get the ebook set up here. And then next week we're going to review Underworld, one way or the other, because we've been on a vampire movie kick. So even though our reviews are doing terrible, but I don't know how else to incorporate fiction, man. I'm like, okay, well, I guess we'll just keep confusing the algorithm. I don't know. So, All right. So I'm going to start here.
I'm going to kill my camera for a minute. You go ahead, bud.
All right, sounds good, man.
I'll be listening.
All right, so this is Chapter 8 of The Familiar, and I'm just going to jump right into it. Actually, let me open my can really fast because I'm going to need to drink something by the end here. So, all right, Madeline led me to Marcy's room where I stood beside Charles and Katie. Marcy was laid out on a large bed, dressed in a white silk gown. As the saying goes, she looked to be sleeping. Her eyes were closed, her hands folded across her chest. She was pretty, no more than 20, with brown hair cut just above the shoulders. Her frame was trim, the picturesque version of youth. The familiar stood shoulder to shoulder in the crowded room, and we all watched as Madeline sat down beside the body and gently brushed the dead girl's hair like a mother watching over a sleeping child. We waited, and nothing happened for a long time. No one spoke, no one moved, and no one was prepared when Marcy sat up. That was all she did. She didn't moan, she didn't stir, she didn't take a breath. She sat straight up, her eyes open and wide. She scanned the room, shifting in the bed nervously as she shifted her arms and observed her pale skin. Her motion was languid and feline. It was like she was made of water. Her chest didn't rise and fall. There was something wrong about a moving body that doesn't breathe. It was as if cause and effect no longer applied to her flesh. Marcy opened her mouth to speak, but nothing came out. She looked at Madeline, confused. "You must force the body to breathe," Madeline said. "It no longer needs air." Marcy nodded. It took her a few minutes. I felt like I was watching a baby learn to walk. She grabbed her throat, opening and closing her mouth as she sucked in gasps of air. She tried to force words out of her mouth, but only managed a series of croaks and groans. Finally, she closed her eyes. I'm not sure what she did differently, but after a minute, her chest began to rise and fall. "There you go," Madeline purred. "Madeline," Malcolm, Marcy whispered. "Malcolm," Marcy croaked. "Malcolm," Marcy screamed. Then the tears came. She buried her head in Madeline's bosom and wept. Madeline held her. "I know, sweet child, it was too soon." "I should have listened," Marcy wailed. "I just didn't want to go back in there. I didn't want to cheat on my boyfriend. Now I'll never see him again." "Let's not think on such things," Madeline said. "You need to feed, child. The sooner we quiet the hunger, the easier it will be to teach you restraint." "I don't want blood," Marcy said, looking up at her new mother. Something hot and wild flashed through her eyes, changing her expression from a young woman to a primitive animal filled with rage. She meant to kill something, anything. "I want Malcolm. I want his throat." "You couldn't take his life," Madeline said plainly. "He's far too strong, but trust me, he will be dealt with. I have already spoken to Arkin. He'll be here this evening, and Malcolm will pay." When Marcy heard her new mother's words, the rage left her, and she melted, practically collapsing into Madeline's chest. For a moment, I thought she'd swooned, but she opened her eyes and met Madeline's stare. She nodded, sat up, and set her jaw. Madeline turned to us. "Patricia," she barked. I was surprised to hear the anger in her voice. "You were supposed to be watching this child, and you left her alone. It's your blood she'll taste first." Then she glared at Charles and Katie. Had Jerome died, I would have demanded the same from one of you. Remember that." Both Katie and Charles nodded, and Charles shot me a bitter glare. I couldn't help but roll my eyes. If there was anyone besides me who was to blame for this, it was Charles. He'd refused to stay with us, though his true love had told him to do so. Of course, Charles wasn't the type to blame himself. I felt certain one phrase was running through the dullard's mind. Madeline is mad at me, and it's his fault. Patricia slowly approached Marcy. "But you've already fed on me," she muttered to Madeline. "Then you best hope I pull her off you in time," Madeline said coldly. "What if I refuse?" Patricia asked. "Then consider our contract finished," Madeline said. Patricia gulped. She stuck out her hand, and Madeline took it, holding the wrist just under Marcy's nose. Marcy sniffed and gave Madeline an unsure look. Her wide, innocent eyes would have been endearing if it weren't for the fact that they'd turned black. "Go ahead, Dove," Madeline said. "I won't let you kill her." Patricia started to cry. Marcy took Patricia's wrist with both hands and bit. I heard the flesh tear. Patricia let out a cry, then a moan. She hit her knees, her free hand grasping her shirt as she grew aroused. Her back arched, her moans grew louder, the tears ran faster down her cheeks. Blood dripped from the wrist as Marcy slurped and chomped, gnawing at the wound. The fangs rose and fell from the two holes in the familiar skin. At last, Patricia's eyes rolled to the back of her head, and she went limp. Madeline grabbed Marcy's hair and snapped her head back, prying her fangs from the wound. Patricia's body crumbled to the floor. Marcy began to scream and hiss, her voice inhuman. "More, more, more." Madeline didn't reply. She held the struggling vampire by her hair and eyed us as we huddled together in the far corner of the room. After a few minutes, the vampire went still and lowered her head, trembling and panting even though she didn't need air. "Is she all right?" one of the familiars asked. "She's faking," Madeline replied mildly. "We're not done." Marcy's head snapped up, and she scanned the room. Her gaze fell on me. Our eyes locked. She looked so desperate and sad. As I stared into her black eyes, everything around her started to blur. All I saw was her face. I wanted to help her. Before I knew what I was doing, I took a step toward the new vampire, but Katie caught my wrist. "Don't look," Katie hissed. I pulled my eyes away from Marcy and turned to Katie. "She'll hypnotize you, try to make you come near her." Madeline must have noticed. She yanked the girl's hair so hard, I was scared she would tear it from Marcy's scalp. "Stop," she said firmly. Marcy growled. Her roar sounded like a cat, a high-pitched gurgling wail. "You've fed enough," Madeline said. Finally, the new vampire truly relaxed. She lowered her head and her shoulders slumped. It seemed to be over, but Madeline did not let go. She glared at us. We were all pressed together, shaking like sheep in a slaughterhouse. "This is how every vampire suffers," Madeline said. "Now imagine going through this while waking up in a coffin. Imagine wandering a graveyard with this hunger inside you. The longer you go without feeding, the more the hunger grows. Is it any wonder a vampire targets their family first? I want you to think on that when you decide whether or not to become what I am." She gave us a wry smile, some food for thought. She tilted her head toward the unconscious Patricia. "Amy, Chad, I want you to take her to the bathing room. Bathe her in warm water, then put her to bed. When she wakes up, make sure she eats." Amy and Chad fought their way through the compressed horde of humanity in the corner and carried the girl out of the room. When they were gone, Madeline regarded us once more. "Remember what's at stake. Life here is safe when you follow the rules. Don't grow negligent again. Arkin will return in a few hours. I expect everyone to be in pairs. Is that understood?" We all nodded. And that's all I'm going to read for now. That is...
Well done, sir.
What?
I said, well done, sir.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. I won't torture anyone else with more of the ad, but that is the first part of Chapter 8 of The Familiar. And if you want to get that book, it'll be available on Amazon. I'm forgetting my own due date. February 3rd, Tuesday. So you can get it on Amazon, or you can go to GaryPaulVarner.org. That's GaryPaulVarner.org. That's GaryPaulVarner.org. And buy it there. The audiobook and the print version are available at the website. So
It's a great website, too.
Thank you very much. I appreciate that. I worked pretty hard on it. So, not bad for a Wix site, I guess. So, anyway. Well, we've got another 20 minutes. So, do you want to talk about Underworld? Do you remember much of it? Because I don't know how to turn this into another episode unless we transition here.
Just make it a short episode.
Then we can't put it on the podcast, though. That's the only issue. We got to kill 23 minutes for it to be like a podcast. At least I think. Maybe I'm wrong. You know what? We'll try it. Why not?
Just chop it up into shorts, man.
There we go. That'll work. Have you been seeing the shorts on YouTube?
Yeah.
They're okay. They're pretty good.
Yeah.
So, all right. Well, okay. We're going to wrap it up then. So we got one more segment left. If you're watching this on the live stream, stay with us. We're going to be talking about the Epstein pissed. If you are watching this after the fact, thank you so much for watching, and we'll see you next time. I don't know. I don't know how people dodge these algorithms. I really don't.
I would just ignore it.
Yeah. All right, you want to lead us in?
What are we talking about?
The Epstein pissed.
Yeah. All right.
And Bill Gates' unfortunate
Yeah,
situation.
I couldn't even remember it because you've been coding it so well.
I've been coding it. Yeah, there we go. That's a good sign.
Welcome.
Sorry, go on.
To Fake Fiction and Folklore, or the Triad Podcast, where we try not to F the podcast up. Today we're talking about a very discreet thing that we shouldn't say because it'll
Get us, spanked.
Yeah, the computer will spank us.
It's
So,
the Epstein.
the Epstein of the Einane. of the
Islay.
of the Islay. Yeah. So it came out, or at least most of it did. Apparently millions of documents. And there isn't much out on it yet because there's so much stuff to go through. But what has come out is not great. People are going to lose their jobs. So I'm sure there's going to be people out there that are going to say there's more that needs to be released. I know that Massey was specifically looking for the 302 forms. So that's like the specific interviews with the victims conducted by the FBI. That was what he wanted to look at. I don't know if those 302 forms are in this giant dump of documents or not. What we do know is that Bill Gates, I guess we should say we now know why Bill Gates did not want this thing coming out. So Bill Gates apparently was having Epstein procure for him Russian ladies of the night. And during this business transaction, he received a disease of a sensitive nature. And because he received this sensitive disease, he decided that the best thing to do was to spike his wife's drink with antibiotics. And so that was the blackmail racket for old Bill Gates. So, and questions answered. So anyway,
yeah, that's pretty crazy.
yeah, that's wild. I watched, huh?
Is that even illegal?
I don't know if it's illegal. It's embarrassing.
It is embarrassing.
Yeah, that's pretty embarrassing. So I mean, legal or not, that's not a good day. So there was that, and then let's see what else happened. Elon Musk tried to contact Epstein after he was convicted, but apparently that never worked out. That's another thing I heard. And then, let's see, was there anything else? I think there was more stuff there might have been more stuff on Clinton, but it was just kind of more of the same. Yeah, but again, everybody's still sifting through the documents, so who knows what all is going to be found. I thought we would kick this off before we start just clicking around on the website. There was another thing I was going to say. I watched Sargon of Akkad's video. I don't know if you know who Sargon of Akkad is, but yeah, he's a British commentator. I thought he was going to have an existential crisis because he's kind of one of those I'm on the right grudgingly because the left won't take me type of guys. So, I don't believe in transgenderism, so therefore I can't be in the left's team anymore. So he's one of those types. I thought he was going to have an existential crisis. It was like seeing people who believe that the world isn't as bad as the conspiracy theorists say. Seeing people realize that, yes, there are rich people who do goofy things with their money. It seemed like it was very hard on him. So, yeah, you can watch Sargon of Akkad's video and judge his reaction. I kind of felt bad for him because you could just see the disillusionment on his face. And so, but we're cynics. So it was like, well, of course Bill Gates was. That's actually quite mild from what I was expecting. So,
For sure.
That's not the worst thing I've ever heard. That's pretty bad, but on a scale of 1 to 10, it's like a 7.
One would argue that, he has good tastes.
Not good judgment trying to spike your wife's
No.
drink, but
Of course not.
if your preferences are for Russian women, then you're in agreement there. So anyway, so before we go on, I thought we would watch Benny Johnson's report on Bill Gates' response to having these files released. So I guess he let out a response, which I haven't seen yet, so I thought we would react to that really quick.
Spenny, we always want to be first, fast, and accurate on this channel so you can have an informed worldview that clearly points in the direction of Bill Gates being
He wants to be first and accurate. I'm just happy to be in the room, but anyway.
the Earth's biggest scumbag. Bill Gates is truly one of the greatest monsters to ever live. We already knew this. Jeffrey Epstein was procuring very, very young Russian girls for Bill Gates to sexually exploit. And then Jeffrey Epstein blackmailed Bill Gates over all of this. But this has been reported. It's over 2 years old in this article from The Guardian here in the New York Post. Who is Malia Antonova, young Russian bridge player, 30 years younger than Bill Gates, who had an affair with Bill Gates? There they are, photoed.
Okay, I take issue with that. We knew he'd had an affair with a Russian. We didn't know that this was like a regular thing he asked from Epstein. So it's not like Russian prostitute, it's Russians. You know what I mean? So I just want to add that it's like I don't think the plural element was known. So, but I could be wrong. Somebody correct me if I'm wrong.
Photographed together. Here she is talking about bridge and how much she likes bridge. Here's, of course, one of the many photos of Bill Gates and his bestie, Jeffrey Epstein. They were in business together, and they were doing a lot more than business. You know what I mean? Bill Gates wasn't doing the business with his wife. At about this time, Bill Gates' wife, Melinda Gates, divorces him and then goes on national TV and says she can't have sex with Bill Gates anymore. Well, this is a little strange. And it's all leading to brand new revelations that we learned when the DOJ released all of the Epstein files, or at least millions of them. And that happened just this morning.
Hang on.
Get a load of
Learn
this.
about marriage by reflecting on this.
Well, I learned that
You were a famous married couple.
we were, and but I learned, to have a trusted relationship, which is what I wanted in marriage. Both partners have to be honest with one another, and if you can't have intimacy and you can't have trust. And so, in the end, I had to go.
Oh, in the end, she had to go because she couldn't have intimacy with Bill Gates. Now, why couldn't she have intimacy? At the time, I just speculated that it was perhaps because Bill Gates was banging a young Russian girl in this affair, but we've just learned that it is so much worse than that, with the DOJ releasing, again, millions of documents, videos, images, and pages from the Jeffrey Epstein files. Here we go. This is what we learned, and Bill Gates has now responded to all of this. Now, there's a little more to why Bill Gates couldn't be intimate with his wife. Let's jump in here. So this is a resignation email that Jeffrey Epstein wrote to himself about Bill Gates, okay? Dear Bill, I cannot believe that you've chosen to disregard our friendship after 6 years. I'm aware that accidents happen. Each of us has chosen to deal with an unfortunate event that has me dismayed beyond comprehension. You've decided to discharge me from my job and had people tell me about this, telling me that I engaged in morally inappropriate behavior, a major actor in cover-up that would hurt my reputation, he says. It's amazing. Bill Gates could hurt Jeffrey Epstein's reputation. But then he goes ahead and says that it is actually Bill Gates who is the Earth's biggest monster. Let's jump down here. Please feel free to read all of this. He says that it was Bill Gates who demanded that he delete all of the emails regarding his STD. This would be Bill Gates' sexually transmitted disease. You request that I provide antibiotics so that you could surreptitiously give them to Melinda and a description of your penis. You also made clear to me that I am not to refer to blank. Another topic must remain between the two of us. In return for all these requests, which I would have done without a second thought, I'm not to attend meetings with Melinda. Okay. So Bill Gates gave Melinda an STD. And then Bill Gates was using Jeffrey Epstein in order to sneak that STD to Melinda. Then he writes here in this resignation letter that I would feel dishonest to myself and to my future for helping Bill get drugs, presumably to help with the STD, I don't know, to sneak to his wife, in order to deal with the consequences of sex with Russian girls, to facilitate his illicit trysts with married women, to being asked to provide Adderall for bridge tournaments, as I am a medical doctor but have no prescriptions writing abilities. So this is interesting. Plenty of Russian girls in the file here about Bill Gates that have been well reported, and that he loved bridge tournaments with these young women, right? Like he's photographed at bridge tournaments with the young Russian women. So some of this does make sense.
Well, there's that. I think that's pretty well everything that we've talked about. I'm an idiot. Bridge is a card game, right?
I thought so.
Well, we're going to ask a stupid question because we need to make this transformative. What in the world is bridge? All right. What is bridge? No, not the game. Oh my gosh. Yeah, so it's a trick-taking card game. Bridge is a highly strategic 4-player partnership trick-taking card game played with a 52-card deck where teammates sit opposite of each other to win tricks, rounds, and fulfill specific bid contracts. Okay, well, anyway, so we learned something, I guess.
I feel like my parents have played this.
I've never played it. I don't know. I've heard about it in passing, but anyway. On to Biddy Johnson, now that Jeopardy information has been given to us.
Bill Gates is now responding. Maybe this is why there was a signed dollar bill in Jeffrey Epstein's possession from Bill Gates saying, I was wrong. Right? Right? There you go. Bill Gates. I was wrong. Here's money. Here's some money. It's a weird thing. Anyway, this has made a lot of headlines. Jeffrey Epstein says Bill Gates caught an STD from Russian girls, and that was secretly sneaking his wife antibiotics in the millions of Epstein documents. Okay, Bill Gates has responded with rage. Here we go. Bill Gates issues furious response to Epstein's claim that he got an STD from sleeping with Russian girls, and suggested that the pedophile was desperate to be his friend. Okay. Bill Gates angrily denied the allegations in a rare statement that clearly conveys the depth of his anger. Spokesperson for the billionaire told the Daily Mail, these claims are absolutely absurd and false. The only thing these documents demonstrate is Epstein's frustration that he did not have an ongoing relationship with Gates, and the lengths that he would go to entrap and defame. Epstein made the astonishing claims about the Microsoft billionaire in an email he sent to himself. The emails were among hundreds of thousands of files that were released by the Justice Department. Friday's release also includes multiple new undated images of Epstein and Gates, various locations. Gates had previously said he regrets his friendship with the pedophile who died in a New York City jail. Over the years, Gates has sought to downplay his years-long relationship with Epstein, claiming the pair did not have a business relationship or friendship. That's a lie. That's just obviously a demonstrable lie. The allegations are outlined in shocking email in the letter. A lengthy message lashed out at Gates for ending their friendship. And then talking about
that
descriptions of his penis.
That's the long and short of it. There's another 3 minutes left of the video. If you want to watch it, it's Benny Johnson's YouTube channel, Bill Gates Unhinged, Epstein Files Response. Well, that's the long and short of his response. It's like, these allegations are absurd. That wasn't nearly as angry as I thought it was going to be. So,
Yeah.
I don't know what I was expecting, but I guess I was expecting more. What do you think?
I don't.
You don't? Yeah, it's all right. Well, what do you say to looking at some of these files, I guess? Are you... Well, that's not good. Are you 18 years of age or older? Yes. Thank you for verifying your age. Sure. Well, that makes me really not want to look at pictures. So, okay. So, what do we want to look here? We got the DOJ disclosures. I guess that would be it. Epstein Files Transparency Act. First phase of declassified Maxwell pre-offer memoranda and correspondence.
Go back to FOIA.
FOIA, Freedom of Information Act? Okay.
That's where the good stuff is. They ask the hard questions.
All right. Okay, so we got Customs and Border Protection, Federal Bureau of Investigations, Federal Bureau of Prisons, Florida. So Florida is the stuff he was already convicted for. So do you want to do Federal Bureau of Prisons? Do you want to do Florida? Or because that's not going to have anything new. But then you've got Federal Bureau of Prisons, Federal Bureau of Investigation, Customs and Border Protection.
I don't know.
You don't know? Well, let's just go with the FBI. I've seen part 1.
Why not?
PDF, which is a bunch of codes.
How interesting.
Court sealing order. Okay. More of that. I'm sure the FBI is being a little snarky here. Yeah. This is called being a smart aleck, because this isn't going to tell you anything. So, yeah, this is just a bunch of numbers. It's like a game of Battleship, basically.
Yeah.
Duplicate copies. I have no idea what any of that means. Some sort of code. So there was that. Let's see. So the FBI didn't give anybody anything. Federal Bureau of Prisons. A blank. Oh, I know. Here we go. So this is just saying they're preserving the documents. So this is basically a document stating they preserve stuff. Of course, we're not reading anything super closely. Redacted. All redacted. Nothing
That's
to
ridiculous.
see here. Holy crap. Oh my gosh. Yeah, that's not seedy. Out of L Hospital. Somebody was in the hospital. They're not now. All green highlighter. What, was black going out of style? Good night, guys. Come on. Did you get tired of the X memes?
That's crazy, dude.
Wow. Look at this. I mean, like, you can't see this on the computer screen, but my little scroll icon is, like, still close to the top. Okay, we got some stuff now. Good night.
What's it about? What's it about?
This is a physical observation occurs. Okay, so they're defining physical
Is it
observation.
about when he was in prison?
Yeah, this is like you got a chief psychologist. Below is the definition of psychological observation provided by blank chief psychologist. He will remain on psychological observation until tomorrow, where he will be reassessed. I'm assuming this is regarding like when Epstein was in jail and they were observing him. So this was a document provided by the warden. So a psychological observation, according to the document's definition, is a psychological observation occurs when an inmate who suffers from a mental illness, a serious personality disorder, a medical problem impairing their mental status, or drug intoxication and or withdrawal symptoms begins to deteriorate. The inmate is no longer mentally stable, and therefore it is inappropriate for he to remain in general population or the special housing unit, SHU. Inmates placed on psychological observation differ from inmates placed on suicide watch, as they are not imminently suicidal, e.g. have not expressed self-harm or engaged in self-harming behavior, but rather due to his or her impairment in mental status or functioning, e.g. not eating, sleeping, disorganized, unusual thinking, poor self-care. His or her behavior can be unpredictable. Psychological observation status is intended as a temporary designation to be utilized until such time as the inmate becomes sufficiently stable, able to function independently in general population, to be returned to his or her housing assignment or transferred to an inpatient psychiatric facility such as the Federal Medical Center. Okay, so this is the psychological observation documents. I don't know if we're actually going to get anything, so let's see. Thanks, where and with who he will be housed at his attorney's visits. So this is a document stating he was removed from suicide watch and stepped down to psychological observation. So this is when they took him off of suicide watch, back before he was killed. Got a bunch of blank documents.
I'm not surprised all that's redacted then.
Yeah, I'm sure there's a lot of...
That's about when he was in jail.
Yeah, I don't know how much we're going to actually get here. It's basically stating where he was housed. So somebody was complaining about it at the time, though. You've got somebody named Lamine going, "This memo is very confusing. Please draft an email of his actions and current status. Also include what plans were in motion to move him to a GP unit. It will need," and then we lose it. So somebody was going, "This is yeah."
It's showing the incompetency of the prison staff for sure.
Yeah, and somebody's going, "What are you even talking about?" Yeah, that's interesting.
What's our timer at?
Oh, we are at 1:53. I think we've got another, let's say, about 15 to 17 minutes left before we're at least north of 30. So, yeah. Yeah, there are a lot of redactions, dude. I don't think they're listening to the FOIA requests.
Right.
And a lot of this is just literally them repeating themselves over and over again. Like, this is like the 5th or 6th time where it's stating he was removed from suicide watch and stepped down to psychological observation. Like, it just kind of these documents just kind of keep saying that over and over again.
Yeah.
So, there's that. Let's move on. I'm going to okay, what I'm going to do is I'm going to take us off of the screen in case there's inappropriate content. And I'm going to actually look at the PDFs for a minute. If I can get back to where I was. Come on, where was I? Here we go. All right. So I think the DOJ disclosures are what we got today. So we're going to press release, evidence A, Maxwell. We don't want that. Memorandum correspondence. OIG statement. where were we? These are court records. I don't want to do that because that's not the new stuff, I don't think. House disclosures. Let's see if we can. So this is from the House. Oversight GOP. I don't know what that is.
Hey, man, I had people show up, so I'm going to have to get off here.
Okay, man. Well, thanks you for sticking it out. Appreciate it. You have a good evening, and we will talk to you in a bit.
Absolutely, brother. Talk to you.
See you, man. Bye.
Later.
All right, we'll switch to the single window here. Maybe. Okay, so we're going to just kind of keep clicking around on this, I suppose. All right, so I'm having a difficult time navigating this thing. I'm not sure where we were at. All right. VOP footage, maximum pre-offer. Contact book, redacted, masseuse list. I don't want footage. Okay, that's Maxwell's. All right, professional responsibility report, memorandum, OIG press release, OIG statement. Okay, here we go. All right, so I'm going to actually look at these PDFs here for a minute, and let's see what we come up with. Okay, we might have actually looked at a lot of these already. Hang on here. This might be the old stuff still. All right. Yeah. All right, so here we go. We're kind of getting into some of the interesting stuff. So we got like a picture of oh, come on now. What are you doing? We got a picture of a library here, and yeah. So we'll look at a couple more of these. This is just more of the mansion. We got a picture of an old dude. I don't know who that is, in a doorway. And then let's see what we got here. Okay, so we got a letter. So let's see if I can read this letter. Excuse me here. I hate that you got into this mess with these girls over the years. These girls knew what they were doing. You did it. Put a gun to... I think they meant to say didn't know what they were doing. These girls knew what they were doing. Oh, wait, no, I'm wrong. So the girls didn't know what they were doing. You did it. Knew what they were doing. You did it. You didn't. That's what it is. Okay, the girls knew what they were doing. You didn't put a gun to their head. But you have to watch it all. You have to watch it to... But you have to watch it too. All rich people are targets in this world. People are going to come at you to get a dolian. Women are really sticky it to the men, sticking it to the men on every level, it seems, and a lot is justified in some cases. In your case, you really need it. Watch your something. I can't read. You are a target, and you never should got yourself caught up in this BS in the first place. You knew these girls would come at you in the long run, and does up your reputation. You should have knew that you go after your pockets. You should have knew that and go after your pockets. Okay, so this was a victim that was redacted. And I can't read the top of that. A on M.E. Jeffrey Epstein. But this was written by somebody, I guess, warning him that he had this coming. So that is a sufficiently ominous letter. At least it's starting to come out now. We screamed our heads off about it for 8 months, but it looks like we're finally getting some progress on that. I'll be curious to see what comes out in the future. But anyway, guys, I think we're going to call it good for an evening. So thank you so much for watching. Appreciate your time. And yeah, I think that's all we got. So thank you so much for watching, and we'll see you.